showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
I want to welcome you out today to episode 218 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield. I am your host. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you so much for checking it out, coming back week after week as I continue the journey here in Salt Lake City, sitting down, chatting with locals, people here that are making the city a better place to live, making it a place that I know I could be proud to call home. Listen, today on the podcast, Rich Wilson joins me. He's got a great story. He's been heavily involved with doing local stand-up comedy, going to the open mics. We chat about that in this episode, as well as some of the videos that he's been doing. He's got some great projects that he's doing with some of the local comedians in Cars Eating Vegemite. He did a great video for Mac Arthur. Mac Arthur's been on the podcast. We chatted about that a few episodes ago. We're going to be getting into that conversation with Rich in just a minute. I, of course, want to give you guys a little bit of an update on what happened to the I Am Salt Lake Live. It was supposed to happen this past Saturday. At the time of this recording, that was last night. We had to cancel it, and I apologize. Two of the guests on the live show, they had to deal with a bit of a family emergency, and so we had to cancel because of that. We're going to be doing it, though. Hopefully it'll happen in a few months. Everything with that live show that could have or should have gone wrong, it happened. I mean, the first venue canceled on me. Cat Martin jumped in and helped put the fire out, found scallywags to do the live show at, and then the other family crisis came, and it was just one thing after another. So I apologize to any of you that were looking forward to that. I was looking forward to that live show. It was going to be a really fun night. But the lesson learned here is the community here in Salt Lake, how awesome it is, how so many of you reach out and help one another, including all the help from people that wanted to help the podcast out and myself out with the live show. So thank you very much, everybody, for your help, for the text messages, for everything involved with that live show. Speaking of help, the podcast really could use some help. I've been doing this podcast for close to 4 years, and really I've been just kind of digging in my own pockets and paying for everything, trying to keep it moving forward. And it gets kind of tough to do it all by myself. So that's where I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out to you, the listener, and asking for some help. Go to iamsaltlake.com/donate. That'll take you to a support page. There's a few options where you can become a monthly donor. There's a $5, $10, and $20 monthly donor. If you enjoy the podcast at all, I mean, if you enjoy listening to it week after week as I create these episodes, might I ask you to just become a monthly $5 donor and help the podcast out. It helps out in so many ways, from hosting to equipment to travel expenses. Everything involved with doing this has started to add up, and so that's where I'm reaching out, like I said, to the listener. Again, go to iamsaltlake.com/donate and help the show out, either with a one-time donation or a monthly donation. iamsaltlake.com is the website. You can head on over there and listen to all the previous episodes. You can check them out right online. iTunes, Stitcher Radio is where you can subscribe to the podcast. The podcast will always be free, so don't worry about that. I will always be providing the podcast for free. I do want to mention Oleo Skin and Beard, great local company. I'm a big fan of all of their products. They make some great beard oils, skin oils, all different kinds of oils to help from soften your beard, soften your skin, cleanse your face. Oleoskin.com. Head on over there. Check out the new hop-infused beard oil. This will soften your beard up immensely. I just picked up a couple bottles of it, and I love it. I'm not going into any other beard oils. Use the promo code IAMSaltLake. It's going to give you 25% off of your entire purchase. Just go to their website, oleoskin.com. Check them out. I know as summer's around the corner, they're going to be out and about to have more of the festivals and more events here in Salt Lake City. Hey, like I said, Rich Wilson's on this episode. Great conversation. Great guy. Rich has been a listener of I Am Salt Lake really for quite a while. We're going to be chatting about that here in this episode. It was recorded at the Utah Musicians Radio Studio here in Salt Lake City. So many thanks to John Farmer. Many thanks to Utah Musicians for their constant support. Let's jump into that conversation as I chat with Rich and find out his story. You know I like to start here, Rich. Where's home? I'm eager for this answer.
Yeah. Australia is always home. I was actually born in New Zealand, and my family always, I know they hate it when I say that I'm from Australia, but I moved to Australia when I was 3, and so all my childhood memories and all my friends are from Australia, so that's what I consider home. But I don't have much of an accent anymore, so...
You have an accent. I mean, you're not kidding anybody here. You have an accent.
A little bit. I feel like when I'm at work or when I'm like at the drive-thru at McDonald's or something, I kind of have more of an American accent just so I don't need to deal with the people saying, hey, like, let's talk about Australia for a little bit. And I just want to order my food and
go.
Yeah.
You don't want to intermingle.
Because you get the same questions all the time. You always get like, oh, I had a brother that went to Australia. I want to talk about, that kind of stuff. So just when it comes to small talk to people I won't see again, I try to avoid it.
So how long, I mean, you moved to Australia when you're 3.
Yeah.
Until how old?
When I was 15, we moved to Germany for a year, and then England, and then I ended up in Utah when I was 17.
Okay, so you've been in Utah for a little while.
Yeah, long time.
Do you have a lot of fond memories still of Australia? Do you make it back to Australia?
Yeah, I've been back to New Zealand a few times because most of my family live in New Zealand, but I haven't been back to Sydney for about maybe like 15 years.
So New Zealand. So I actually have a listener of I Am Salt Lake that lives in New Zealand.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully she's listening to this episode. I'll tell her, listen.
Hey, kia ora.
There you go. Her name's Nikki. She's a big fan of all the Utah podcasts, Geek
cool.
Show and some of the other local podcasts. And she, of course, finds I Am Salt Lake. She actually flew here with her now fiance. She toured the U.S. and she came and spent a few days in Salt Lake. And I gave her a tour of Salt Lake for the day. Really cool experience. We chatted a little about New Zealand. I don't know a lot about New Zealand, just Kiwis and stuff like that. But anyway, so what brought you to Utah then? Again, 17 years old.
Yeah, my dad's work. He works for the LDS, or he worked for the LDS Church, just an accountant.
Oh, okay.
And so they moved us to Europe for 2 years, and then we were supposed to go back to Australia, but then just last minute, like, do you want to move to Utah? And my dad was just like, yeah, that'll be a good experience. So
you've been here ever since?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
For the most part.
No, yeah, I've been in Utah. I've lived in Utah longer than I lived in Australia, so that's why it's hard for me to say I'm from Australia, but I don't feel like I should say I'm from, like, Bountiful.
What was your first reaction? Do you remember that when you came to Utah? I mean, because I don't know how old you are now, and that doesn't really matter, but I mean, that was quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, did you come right to Salt Lake? Or like, I went to Provo. So, I mean, that's like a whole nother world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, what part of Utah did you come to, if you don't mind?
Well, I moved to Bountiful, and I went to 1 year of Bountiful High.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a pretty,
it was crazy.
Calm town. I mean, it's compared to Salt Lake,
Yes, it's calm, but everyone compares Utah to kind of like Disneyland. It's just, everyone's really friendly. It felt like it was kind of like the movies, like, you have cheerleaders, you have the jocks, you have the skaters. Everyone's in their own groups.
And that's not like that in Australia.
No, everyone, I felt like high school is just, there isn't really school sports. There isn't a football team that you go support. There aren't cheerleaders or anything like that. It's just like everyone just hangs out and drinks. I feel like that's just a big part.
Well, what's the drinking age in Australia?
I think it's 18, but
everybody does.
Yeah, everyone did it anyway.
Everybody drinks.
Yeah,
it's not really frowned upon.
It's frowned upon, but it's just more accepted. Like, kids are going to drink on the weekends and smoke weed,
Sure.
But,
I mean, people do that here, I guess.
Yeah, but it was just so normal. But when I moved to Bountiful, that was like, those were kind of the bad kids, you know?
Yeah. What about, do you have a big family, only child, or what?
I'm the youngest. Youngest of 6. So I was kind of moving around with my parents.
Okay.
Pretty much by myself. I had one older brother, but he left when we moved to Utah. It was just me and my parents here. And so by the time we moved here, they just kind of let me do whatever. They didn't really, but I was being the youngest of 6. They didn't really have too much supervision.
Were you a good kid? I mean,
I was
get into
good.
trouble a little bit.
I did get into trouble, but
nothing crazy.
Nothing too crazy.
Sure. Well, I just kind of like to find a little bit of a background, just kind of especially yours. I knew you were from Australia,
right?
Or you had some Australian roots,
yeah.
Based off of even some of this conversation we're going to get into in a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about comedy here, obviously.
Okay.
Because I know you do a lot of the open mics.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're not headlining and you're not doing it. I mean, you've done some smaller shows, haven't you?
Yeah. I've done a couple shows, and I opened for Andy Gold once at Wise Guys, which was super exciting.
Was that, okay, let's actually back up. And again, we're a podcast. We're probably going to bounce all over the place. The first time you did open mic, very first time.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was, I guess 6 years ago now, for my 30th birthday. I always wanted to try comedy. I used to read Seinfeld, and Seinfeld wrote a book. I read a few biographies. I was really into it. Jim Carrey was like a big influence. And I just figured for my 30th birthday, I'd go down to Wise Guys and give it a try. But it was a pretty bad experience for me. Everyone seems to have a really good experience, or
their first time. You think so?
Or really bad. It seems to go either way, I feel like.
So so you went there. You obviously probably didn't know any of the local comics.
No, I didn't at that time.
Compared to now, you seem to know quite a few of them. Anybody go with you? Family, friends, wife?
I talked to a friend, one of my friends in my neighborhood. I talked him into coming because we kind of sat around and joked a lot. I was like, hey, you should come down and try stand up with me. So he came down and we both got up at the same night.
Same night.
Yeah.
Was that nervous for you, though, to know somebody? And I'm even doing this for tips for people that want to get up and do some open mic. Maybe even myself here. I know we've chatted about that, about me getting up there and doing it.
Yeah.
And before you even came on this podcast episode, you were like, well, get up there and do it before so we can chat about it when you're on the podcast.
Right.
And I still haven't done it.
Right.
Partially, I need to sit and, I don't know, I got so many things on my plate.
Right.
Anyway, so the first time you got up there, did you have stuff written down?
No.
Was it just in your head?
No, it was just in my head. I felt like I could just go up there and wing it, and I would be funny because it's so easy to impress your friends when you're in a little group. So I just got up on stage. I had a few premises, but no punchlines, and I just thought, whatever I say, I'm going to get a laugh.
And you bombed it, though.
I bombed so hard. I bombed. So I got up, and I just had a lot of movie references. And like I said, no punchlines, and you really feel really alone up on stage, especially when you're bombing. And I just got off stage, and I just felt like I could do it. And when I got up there, I found out really quickly that I couldn't, and it just crushed me inside, to my core, because I felt like it was something I was capable of doing.
But you kept going back.
I didn't for a while. For about 2 months, I did go back, but only once a month I went, and that's the worst way to learn how to do stand-up. It's just you need to go every week. Half of it's just feeling comfortable on stage is a big part, because when the audience sees that you're uncomfortable, they're not going to go along with you. All they could see is some dude up on stage that doesn't want to be there.
Are you pretty comfortable now?
No, I'm still not. I'm still not where I want to be. I write jokes, and my jokes.
You got good jokes, though. That's the thing. I mean, on Twitter and stuff like that. I mean, you got good jokes.
That's the thing that kind of keeps me going, because I write these jokes that they really need to be good, because I don't have any personality on stage. I feel like I don't have any stage presence. There's lots of big personalities, lots of characters.
I've seen you one time at least. I know I've seen you.
You saw me the one time I did good.
I was gonna say, like, you did good. I was impressed. I was like, go Rich.
Yeah, no, I do okay. I feel like 1 in 5 times I do well, and that keeps me going. If I had 3 bad weeks, like, I feel like I could just take a break and quit, because I am way too sensitive for stand up.
Do you get your feelings hurt pretty easy if somebody tears apart your joke, or what? When you say sensitive, I didn't know what you mean by that.
If people aren't laughing, I take it really personally.
Okay.
And I shouldn't, because
especially open mic. I mean, that's when you're working jokes out.
Right. Yeah. I just need to feel more comfortable on stage, and it's just something that's going to have to come through time. I wish it could come easy, but it's not. But
what's been doing stand up? I mean, doing open mic. I mean, for 6 years now, or maybe not 6 years.
Yeah, no, off and on.
Okay.
for 6 years, but only in the last probably 8 months I've gone every week. So I've really just said.
So you're pretty much a regular. If people listening want to come check you out, you can come check you out on a Wednesday night.
And I'm not guaranteeing I'll be funny, but I give it a good try.
Well, has there been any rewarding things doing it? I mean, has anything really cool happened for you or anything? I mean, that you could think of? Or?
Yeah, I think 2 of my favorite things is being in a community where you have creative thinkers. Just comics in general. Like, that's the first time I went, and I just the vibe of the room. You're watching guys get up and just tell their ideas of things that are funny.
Sure.
And it's just this community of people that are trying to achieve, I don't know, just this. There's a beauty to stand up, and just feeling like I'm part of that creative community is enough for me to keep going. Because I feel like if I lost that creative outlet, I would have a huge hole in my just day-to-day life.
Sure.
Because I'm in construction, and it is a rough profession to be in, because I feel like I don't have anything in common with everyone I work with. Everyone's just...
That's how it is with my day job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough to be around people that it's just all about getting a lift on your truck, or going hunting, or going,
Sounds like you work at my job.
Yeah,
do you know what I do during the day?
Yeah, you're a granite guy.
Yeah, I sell granite slabs for a local company here. And I mean, that's how it is. They all talk about their fishing trips on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Their hunting trips.
Right.
It's like, good grief, How long, I mean, you've been doing construction for a while then?
Yeah. I've been in construction for about 12. I've had my own carpentry business for about 12 years, I think now.
So is that what, I mean, what do you, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, what do you do? I mean,
just finished carpentry.
Okay.
And I've done a lot of houses around the valley. So there's a small chance somebody's going to be listening, like, hey, he came to my house and worked on it. But they had no idea that I do, videos or stand up or anything.
But that's the thing. And that's even like kind of what I'm trying to portray with this podcast. A lot of episodes don't really get that out there, but a lot of us have day jobs.
Yeah.
But we have this nighttime passion project.
Yeah.
This thing that we're kind of contributing back to the area, the state, the city, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of times we don't know that. I mean, we put, a 10-hour day in at our job, 12 hours, some of us, 8 out, maybe only 8, whatever. And then you might put a bunch of hours in at night.
Yeah.
Doing cool stuff like we're going to get into here in some of your videos that you make. But it's really cool, man. Like, I know you and we've chatted through Twitter and some different online things. I think we've actually only recently become Facebook friends.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, I was like, whoa, okay, found Rich on thing. Because, so a while back, this seems like a good time to talk about this. You left voicemails.
Yeah.
On my voicemail account, which I actually found them and played them for Chrissy.
Oh yeah.
Am I embarrassing you now?
Nah. I was just doing dumb voices.
They're actually really good, man. And if I should put them on this episode.
Oh no.
Don't do that? Okay.
I don't know. We can talk about it later. I don't do voices. That was just like, I'm gonna call in
Jesse Ventura, man.
Yeah. but it wasn't very good. When I was calling in and doing it, it sounded good in my head. Then when I heard the podcast, I was like, "Oh man, that doesn't sound anything like him."
No, dude, honestly, you made my day. You probably kept this podcast going. Your comedic voicemails, your inspiration.
Right.
And sometimes that's all it takes, man, is like so often just to thank you for what you do.
Right. I listen to a lot of every comic you've had on. I listen to all of those. Like that's how I got into your show. I think it was probably like Guy Seidel or Andy Gold tweeted that they're on, and then I think that's how I got into your podcast. And then I just went back and listened to all of Steve Solberg, all the guys you had on, and then
I love having all the comics on my podcast, man. It's like it's great.
Yeah, I find comics, they're like a breath of fresh air, because they think outside the box, and they don't hesitate when they talk. Mm-hmm. They just go, and I like the freedom of the comic's mind.
Back to stand-up comedy. Any embarrassing moments on stage?
That
you could think of.
Yeah, one time, I don't know, this wasn't really bad, but just top of my head, I thought it would be funny to do an impression of Krang from Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
The brain.
Sure.
But it was such a strange reference that I held up $5 and I said, whoever could guess this impression, I'll give you $5. And I did it, but it wasn't funny at all. It was just me doing Krang's voice, and it just total silence. And it just, when you commit to something like that and you put yourself out there and you get nothing in return, it hurts so much more when you get, when you just get silence.
I could imagine, because there's been times doing live shows, some of the I Am Salt Lake lives, and I'm just like, okay, that didn't go over very well.
Yeah.
Comedians in Cars Eating Vegemite.
Yeah.
That's the title, right? Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Or is that the title?
Yep.
How did that idea? It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's that unique.
Dude, we're our own worst critic, man. It's a good idea. Just run with it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I originally wanted to start a podcast. Like you, you had all the comics on. I was like, I want to have comics on and do the same thing. Then I could kind of get to know the comics and have this cool feeling like I'm part of this comedy scene,
Yeah.
But I've never had much, my self-esteem is pretty low to where I always second guess myself. Like even now, I'm worried that I'm going to say something dumb.
No, you're perfect, man.
I don't like compliments.
Okay. No compliments.
Yeah.
No compliments.
So I was going to start a podcast, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to feel comfortable with them. The whole time I'm going to be trying to keep up with their level of comedy and energy, and I know I won't be able to do that. So then I thought, well, I could just shoot a video of them driving around in the car, like Jerry Seinfeld's show. But if I add the element of Vegemite, because of Vegemite, Americans don't like it, so it would make funny people. It'll bring them out of their comfort zone, and I figured naturally funny stuff will happen, which is what happens.
Which does.
Yeah.
So for people listening that might not have seen it, which I'll get a few videos out, so somehow people could go watch it. They're on YouTube. I'll get links. I'll put the videos on the website. Whatever I have to do. It's usually 3 or 4 comedians sitting in a car.
Yeah.
And they're driving around, and then they just start getting a spoon into this Vegemite, what do you use Vegemite for besides making silly movies? What would one use Vegemite for?
Australians just put it on toast or toast with cheese on there. That's what my mom used to make.
Do you like it? Do you like it, Rich?
It's okay. My brother eats it every morning. He feeds his American kids that, and they like it too. So it's just something you got to grow up with. But I'm not too picky when it comes to food. I just eat whatever. I don't know. I don't need anything special, or it's an acquired taste that I don't want to really wake up to every morning.
No, fair enough. But anyway, some funny reactions happen. And then usually they'll offer it to a random stranger.
That does happen,
or it has happened. Maybe not on every episode.
Yeah.
How many have you done? How many?
20. I think I think the last one I did 2 weeks ago I put up was 20.
What was that 2 weeks ago?
That was Aaron Woodall and Rodney Norman.
I don't think I watched that.
Oh
one.
man, you got to watch it. I don't want to give anything away.
No, don't give anything away.
But it doesn't go with the regular formula, and that's what I'm trying to do with the show now.
Okay.
Because for 20 episodes, it's pretty much just the comedians get in the car, they talk about whatever, and then there's Vegemite that they eat too, and it leads to a funny conversation. But I'm trying to make it more specific to the comic in the car or the comedians in the car, and I want to make each episode a little different. So the last episode, episode 20, had to do with Aaron. Something happens with Aaron. And
no spoilers.
No spoilers, but it's not your typical. Did you see Jackson's episode?
I did.
Okay.
Which no spoilers there either. But that was a brilliant one.
Yeah, that was all Jackson. I said, Jackson, I want to have you on, but your comedic voice and what you do is so different from everyone else. I don't want to just put you on like everyone else. I want it to be your episode. So I threw out a couple ideas, and then we went out on a Saturday. Him and Amra Ames, and we filmed this. It's very Jackson episode.
Yeah. So if you're listening, go back and watch it. I mean, it is brilliant. I mean, Jackson's got a brilliant mind anyway.
Yeah. So
you're still doing it then? You're still doing the series or the videos, the YouTube channel, whatever?
I have another one. It might not be for a few more weeks, but I have Toy Soup. You familiar with those guys?
Yeah.
Toy Soup went out with a special guest in the backseat, Christopher Stevenson. He's back there. I don't want to give anything away, but it's different.
Okay, so you're still, because for some reason I thought I understood you were kind of putting that on the back burner.
Yeah. Well, I felt like I didn't want to be tied down to just one thing, one show. So I wanted to branch out and do more videos, just make videos with comics, but try to make lots of different stuff. I know you saw the little video I made with
Mac Arthur's death.
Eulogy,
which we talked about that when I had Mac on the podcast.
So that may be my favorite thing I've ever done. And it was just one of those things that I made. All I did was I made a video for Mac's birthday where I pretended like he died, and I interviewed lots of comics in town, and I just said, pretend that Mac died, what would you say to him? And so it's just all these comics saying really bad things about Mac.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. I mean, then just all that. I mean, that's a lot of editing.
Yeah,
a lot of time.
I loved that one though. Like that was like, I probably watched that 50 times before I put it up, and I showed my kids. I'm like, okay, so here's another thing we could kind of get into.
Sure. I
need these creative projects to be happy, and I have a wife and kids, and they see how happy it makes me, and it makes me feel really guilty because they should be fulfilling me. But I've had this discussion with a few comics, and I'm torn between my family should be fulfilling me, and they do, but I need this comedy thing, and it kind of
you need that outlet, man. You need that thing, that something in your life that where you can release that inner passion.
I do, but I'm not comfortable with it making me as happy as it does.
Really?
Because my kids should be filling that hole.
Well, I'm sure your kids are.
They do, but I have this I have this guilty feeling that I don't want them. I don't want them to know how happy it makes me. Oh, it hurts to even say that because my kids, I love them, and my wife, but I need this, and it's only in the last year that I've really started to make videos and go to open mics consistently. Usually, every winter I have seasonal depression. Lots of people have
we all
it.
do it, man. We all have it, man.
But people that have real depression, I always feel bad saying I have seasonal depression because I'm just, I don't know. I always feel bad. Like I get sad in the winter, but people are sad all the time. But every winter I really get down and I'll just be in bed and I can't get out of bed and I'll just start crying and my wife will come up and say, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing's wrong." And that's what it's really hard to explain. But ever since I've been doing these videos, they've filled this hole and stand up that I made it through
that you
this
didn't
whole
think could get filled before.
Yeah. So this winter I made it through. I have this light I need to sit under, to get vitamin D or whatever. My wife got it for me last year, but I didn't need to use it this year.
Nice.
Yeah, and I never had that feeling of just laying in bed. And this is just for me, but creativity, I've only recently realized is like crucial for me to function. Like I need it. And my wife wasn't really supportive of me when I started doing stand-up because, I've never really expressed a feeling or a need to be funny. And I was never really the funny guy. But now that she sees how much it means to me, she's pretty supportive. She's supportive. Like I told her, I'm going to Salt Lake to be on a podcast tonight, and it's crazy to us like that I'm here because like I'm just a construction guy in the suburbs, and I feel like I'm part of something now, and it's
dude. I was stoked that you finally agreed to come and do this.
I said no quite a few times.
You did, and I was kind of bummed out, man. But I can't force people.
Yeah.
To come on this show.
Right.
I can't force you to come here. But I wouldn't have asked you if I didn't feel you would have a cool little story.
Right. Well, yeah.
Do you feel, a question though, back to the guilt. Do you feel that guilt holds you back still a little bit? Like maybe if you didn't have that guilt, you could go even further with your creativity?
No, just because I'm really happy where I am right now. Like what I'm doing right now, I never really think I'm capable of much more than where I'm at right now. Like my goal with stand-up when I started going consistently like 8 months ago was my goal. All I want to do is open for someone at Wise Guys. That was like my dream.
Which you did.
I did, but it came so quick. Andy Gold asked me to be on, and it came a lot quicker than I expected. It was something off in the distance that I was going to work towards and feel comfortable about doing. And then Andy asked, I was like, this came too quick. And then you
said no probably at first, right?
Andy knows me too well that he knew I would say no. He said, you got to do it. So I did it, but I would have said no, but he knows that I don't know. So I did it.
How many minutes is that when you open up for a comedian like Andy?
Since it was my first time, I think they gave me 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah. But
did it feel like an eternity up there?
I had been on a few other shows before then, and I felt really comfortable on those shows. So I felt like when I went, I was capable of doing a solid 6 minutes, and it went okay. It didn't go awesome, but it didn't go bad. But after I was done, I felt there was this empty feeling of, I had this feeling, I talked to my wife about it, and I said, I don't know if you should really accomplish your dreams. I don't know if that makes sense.
Man.
That was my dream, and it happened.
And then now you're like, well, what do I do now? What do I do now? That dream is over.
Yeah, and I know that I'm not capable, or I'm not really even interested in doing an hour. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. I feel like 10 minutes is perfect for me. And so once I kind of did that at Wise Guys, I felt like I don't know where to go from here. So right now with stand-up, I'm just going to open mics, just trying to feel comfortable on stage, and I'm happy with that. And with my videos, I feel like as long as I'm making something interesting and new, I'm not really about like sponsorship or going anywhere further. All I want is for people, creative people, to think to give me the thumbs up on them, and then I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely,
kind of thing.
And that's, I mean, I could relate, because sometimes you just want to put yourself out there. You have that outlet, and you just want to put yourself out there, entertain people for a minute, but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I that's one thing too, is I I like to make things all on my own, so I don't have to rely on other people to, like, if it doesn't go well, I don't like to, like, if somebody was editing for me or something like that, I would hate to have it not received well, like the finished product, and they put time into it. So I like to do everything myself, and then when I'm done, I kind of just throw it away, and I try not to attach myself to it too much, because if I invest a lot of emotion into it, I'm like, I really believe in this, and it's not received well, it's so much more devastating when people don't care that I put time into it. And I do put a lot of time into it, but I don't want to appear to. I don't know if that makes
fair enough. Before we started chatting, you've even mentioned, you listen to I Am Salt Lake, the comedy podcast, the comedians. You listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, I do. That's all I do.
So okay. I do a lot at work myself. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I have a job. Not every day, but a lot of days I'll listen to a podcast. Always looking for podcast recommendations. I mean, any podcast you want to recommend to the listeners.
I would say for the listeners, they should listen to your podcast, your new one.
My new one.
Yeah. Baggage.
Dating baggage. Dating baggage, yeah.
If you haven't listened to Chris and Chrissy's podcast, you should. The first episode, I don't know, can I say?
You can say whatever you want, man.
Chris gets super drunk. And you see a completely different side.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of times, people don't know who I am because I'm always just the guy over here. I'll ask the questions, and then whoever's on the show answers them.
Yeah.
But this was a side of me I was able to just let down my hair, so to speak.
Right, and you did.
What did it? I mean, what was your first thought? You were like, who is this guy?
Okay, so my first thought was, you have mentioned about doing stand-up before.
Okay.
And when I heard you, it's like you came out of your shell, when you were drunk, or just, you were more open because you were with Shelley, or
sure.
Chrissy Shelley.
Chrissy Shelley, yeah.
And so you opened up.
I was comfortable with her.
You were. And I felt like when you mentioned doing stand-up, I was like, I could totally see Chris just like letting loose on stage and doing stand-up.
Did I kind of seem like a stiff person before, maybe a little bit? It's always interesting to hear people's perceptions.
Stiff sounds bad.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But perceptions of me,
Yeah.
Just like, because they see me a certain way.
Yeah. I don't know what the other word would be, but stiff. I don't know. Yeah,
stiff sounds harsh, maybe.
Yeah, it does. There's another word, but something nicer than stiff.
Too conservative.
Yeah.
Like straight laced.
Yeah. But the first episode, you're just out. You're putting yourself out there, which is really cool to see.
It is, man. It's it's been an interesting podcast. A lot different than I Am Salt Lake. A lot different side. And you know what I like about it is I don't necessarily, a lot of people will listen to it and they'll say dating, so it's like, okay, I'm married or I think you could still be entertained and not be dating, right? I mean, you were still entertained, right? Or is that maybe because you knew me?
No, I think if I didn't know you, everything's relatable. Like you talk about Tinder, and I think the best episode so far is it the fourth one where you talk about mental illness? Mental illness,
yeah. That was a tough one too, man, just to lay it out there.
Right. That one is important to listen to for if you're in a relationship where somebody has depression or just mental illness of any kind. That episode, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and that one was really good. But plus, I know you two too, which helped me kind of see into Chrissy and you, just the relationship dynamics of, because you're honest on it. So I think it's
been interesting for a relationship.
Yeah.
Because you're opening up, you realize that you all have a past. You all have stuff that you've been through. But you're there for, I think it's actually made our relationship a lot better, believe it or not, just because we have a place to talk. And sometimes, anyway, I don't know. I don't know how deep you want to get with the podcast here.
No, I just think it would be good. It would be therapeutic for your, I was about to say marriage, but for your relationship. But see, I'm projecting, I was thinking if me and my wife had something like that, where we just talked, opened up, but kind of forced yourself to open up too, for the sake of making it something that people want to listen to. I think it'll be healthy to really hash things out.
Well, absolutely. Here she is. to give a little bit for people listening, she has 3 kids.
Yeah.
I have no kids.
Right.
I mean, that's interesting. You know, people, that's not, a lot of times single guys tend to look for women with no kids. And it wasn't like I was necessarily searching for a woman with kids. But anyway, so we were dating, and I'm like, we should do a podcast. Kind of, my original thought was kind of even documenting a little bit, sharing funny stories or sharing, you know, what it's like for me interacting with them, you know, whatever. And it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I haven't really done the best promoting that podcast on this. I mentioned it on other episodes, but go check it out. It's been a lot of fun to do that with her. And I mean, you've known Chrissy a while.
Yeah.
I mean, just through the comedies.
Yeah,
I mean, she was in one of your videos.
Yeah, she was in. I'm not sure which episode. She was on an episode though, and we were on a show together down in Provo too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She didn't tell that. I'll have to bring that up in the pod.
She brought her kids. I don't know if her babysitter fell through.
Yeah,
I think it did, but her kids each had a friend too. So the whole front row was Chrissy's kids and their friends.
Was that awkward?
No, I think
this is Provo though, so you had to be clean probably.
It was a show Rodney Norman puts on. It was a clean comedy show, but it really helped me kind of come out of my shell because I have kids and I'm really silly around my kids. I'm comfortable being silly. And so the whole front row was just these little heads looking up at me. So I just, I was just like, I'm just going to talk to these kids because there weren't a ton of people there either.
Yeah.
And so I kind of directed my jokes to them, and it really helped me kind of come out of my shell, and it helped me take another step into feeling comfortable on stage. So I think I've mentioned to Chrissy a few times that I'm thankful that she brought her kids. It allowed me to experience stand-up in a different way.
Well, back to podcast. We only talked about dating baggage. What any other podcasts?
Oh man, I'll need to look at my phone. I listen to
a couple that just pop out maybe in your head.
I listen to a lot of movie podcasts.
There we go.
Yeah, there's one called Slash. Oh, geez. There's a big movie podcast that I listen to. They just talk about movies that come out. It's not too exciting. And then I listen to like all the big ones like Mark Maron and Comedy Bang Bang and Adam Carolla, all the...
I tried to listen to Comedy Bang Bang multiple. I just couldn't get into it,
Yes. It is... That's definitely an acquired taste. You need to be in the right mood for that. And sometimes I scroll through and see who the guests are.
Yeah.
And if I recognize the guest, then I could force myself. But it is a very silly show.
Yeah. Well, that's how it is for myself with a lot of podcasts. I might skip that one if I don't recognize the name. But no, man, I'm always looking for recommendations. And I know people even stumble upon this show and then it's like, okay, where do I go from here? Oh, there's more podcasts out there. Whoa. And then all of a sudden their phone is full of...
Yeah, there's a ton.
How many hours a week do you think you listen to podcasts? Or is that
geez, like 9 hours a day.
Oh, really? So really straight
when
through.
I get in my car to go to work... and then when I drive home, it's
very little music.
No, I used to listen to music, but I get so burned out on all my old songs.
Dude, that's my story, man. That's my story. Like that's really what even got me into podcasting was I was just like, gosh, I love music. I love music. Don't get me wrong, and I still will listen occasionally to some music, but. Yeah, man, it was just like, wait, there's all these subject matters, these podcasts. I'd always listen to talk radio. And so, yeah, man, very similar. Maybe that's just getting old.
Yeah, you could only listen to your old songs so much. And I really like music too. But I don't know, just listening to podcasts really, it's a conversation. You listen to a conversation, you feel like you're learning too.
Sure. What are some of your other hobbies and interests besides movies and comedy and films or videos?
I like to skateboard, but I'm getting old.
That's right. I've seen some of your skateboard videos.
I grew up skateboarding. All my family skateboarded when we were little. But I'm getting old for it. The older I get, I kind of point it out all the time. Like, it's pathetic that I'm still skateboarding, but I really love it. Like, just skate parks.
Why is it pathetic, though?
Well, it's not to me, but I think it is to other people. So I got to kind of protect myself by saying that. I feel like, I don't know, if I say that it's pathetic, I feel like I'm saying what other people are thinking. So I don't know.
No, man.
I really love it though.
Well, that's how it was for me. I was getting older, and it was like I couldn't afford a broken bone.
Yeah.
So I kind of stopped in my 20s.
Right.
Never re-picked it up. I mean, I've tried to get out there, and it's just like, whoa, this is not second nature to me anymore.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, skateboarding's big.
But BMX, don't you do something with bikes or no?
Yeah, a little bit. We every year I take a 6-foot ramp up to the lake, and we jump bikes into the lake.
That's right. I remember you posting about that on Facebook, and I was like, I want to go do this.
Yeah. Oh, if you want to come, I tried to talk Andy Golden. I tried to talk a few people. Guy Seidel. I said you should come and do this, and nobody came except for Mac. Mac Arthur was the only one that showed up.
So you do this in the summertime?
Yeah, towards the end of the summer, the lake needs to be at the right level. It's up in Huntsville. I live up by Huntsville, so there's just a place where you could get a clean run down to the lake, and you just fly off the ramp.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it give you a rush or what, man?
Yeah, but it's scary. I've had a few people that I haven't had any bad crashes, but
well, don't talk me out of it, man, by talking about an accident.
The thing with a lot of things in life is when you hesitate, you get hurt. There's people that start rolling and they decide they don't want to do it, and it's too late. Like, you need to commit. Once you're going down the ramp, you can't put on the brakes or anything. You just go off it, and it's safer to just go straight off than to kind of get nervous, put on the brakes, and go off onto the rocks.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm going to keep an eye out for when you post it on Facebook that you're going to do it again.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, and even send a message to me.
I will.
Remember, because I would like to do this and maybe even get some video of it.
Oh, yeah.
Then we can post it.
I have a video. I have it on my YouTube.
No, myself. When I do it, I want to get some video so I could post it for I Am Salt Lake listeners.
Oh, I'll put it up there. I'll bring all the GoPros. Like last time we went, it had like 3 GoPros on bikes and on the ramp and stuff. But yeah, I want people. I think when I did it last year and I put it out there, I don't know if people really took me seriously, or because after I did it, I had a few, like Jonathan Faulkner and a couple other guys were like, I want to come, like Shane Smith, like, I want to come and do that. I don't think they really knew that I was serious about it.
Well, now that you're saying it on this podcast, the event. Word is here. We'll make it an event.
Everyone's invited. Just don't sue me. I don't know how that works.
We could just have a big party, man.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
What is a random skill that you wished that you would like to learn? Something like when I've had, who was it? I want to say Eileen Dobbins on learning ventriloquism.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Nowhere. I listened to that one.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that pops in your head.
One thing I've always loved the piano. Like the piano, when I listen to like Ben Folds 5, there's a few bands I listen to. I was like, I wish I could do that. Like Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles, that kind of stuff I love. But we have a piano, and I'm always like, I need to get some lessons or YouTube some videos how to play. But piano would be my number one skill that I don't have that I wish I had. Fair
enough. I like that answer. I took a few months of piano lessons. Can't play, but I did take some lessons. My mom plays piano.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this one. You might have heard me. I know I've asked some other comedians this, but since you're kind of a movie guy, what's the most random thing that you've watched all the way through on Netflix?
I've heard you ask that before. Let's see.
Anything comes to mind? I mean, maybe it's so random you forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
Because I picture you as the guy sitting on your couch, and you're just scrolling through Netflix, and you get lost in this little wormhole.
Oh, I got it. It was is it my crazy addiction, my secret addiction?
Oh yeah. Well, any of those addiction shows, man.
So people are eating their couches, eating glass. That's when the episode gets done, you scroll through and you kind of read the title of the next one and you just keep on watching it. But it didn't leave me with like a good feeling. It's just like, people, I don't know.
People are strange,
man. Yeah.
Well, you know, watching those, because I've watched those as well, I'm like, wow. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
We don't.
Right.
And it's like life is so tough. Mm-hmm. And you don't know how hard some people's struggle is. Like you were talking about getting out of bed with your seasonal depression.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't know that.
Right.
We put on this happy face at work.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you're at a comedy show or you're out with your friends. But you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, man. And so, I mean, that's a great, great show for people listening. but what's most memorable concert or live sporting event? Any music, any bands, any concerts come to mind?
I took my kids to see Nitro Circus. It was 4 or 5 months ago. And the whole time, I like that kind of stuff, but the whole time I just wished I had taken them to see Paul McCartney instead when he came a little earlier.
Are you a pretty big Beatles fan?
I do like the Beatles, but I've never seen him, but I feel like it's just one of those things that would be super cool for my kids to say in 30 years that they saw a Beatle. I don't know. I like a lot of music, but I do like the Beatles.
Yeah.
But I feel like Nitro Circus is very disposable. It's just guys doing backflips on dirt bikes and.
But they probably enjoyed it.
They did, but it didn't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't go see a lot of concerts. I remember back in the late 90s, I would go to like the Big Ass Show or the Warped Tour.
Yeah, man.
And that was like no effects and. I don't know, all those punk bands strung out, and I don't know. There was a few bands we used to watch back then, but I've never been like a big concert goer, mainly because of money.
Sure, man. I used to blow a lot of money back in the day.
Yeah.
Going to, 2-3 over a Friday, Sunday period,
Oh,
it's just like ridiculous. If money was no object, this is the next question. If money was no object, what would you do all day?
Oh, just make videos.
Like
for sure.
If you didn't have your day job.
Just make videos. I would call up every comic called Jackson. I'll call every comic and say, let's make videos. And I'll just go to a different comic's house every day and just make dumb stuff.
I love it. So make that a reality. No, it's fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I say that, and it's like that would be the ultimate, and it is possible to do that.
Sure, man.
But I have that. Maybe it's going to the thing where I don't know if I really want to achieve my dreams. I just like the idea of having a dream.
Yeah. If you knew that the world was ending this year, 2016, what would you do different?
I don't know. I would try to get back to Australia for sure, and I would work less and make more videos. I'm in a really good place right now, mentally and emotionally. Me and my wife have a good relationship. My kids are cool, and I'm making videos and I'm going to open mics. I feel like I'm pretty, like this has come into my head a few times. I've never been in a part of life where I'll be okay with dying until recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you used to be afraid of it?
I felt like I wasn't fulfilled, but now I feel like I am. And even though my achievements are really small, I just feel like I'm doing what I want to be doing, and I'm cool if I die. That's it. I'm just if I died tomorrow, I feel like I'd be fine with it.
Dude, not a lot of people can say that.
Okay, so now I got that guilt coming back in my head for my kids. I'm like, I shouldn't say that. They're going to listen to this. But yeah.
We won't play this for your kids.
Yeah.
We won't play this.
They'll listen to it in 10 years, the day after I die.
Well, what do you want written on your tombstone? Have you ever thought about that?
I don't know. I'm not sentimental. I would like to be cremated and then just throw my ashes in the Pacific Ocean. I don't care.
Okay.
It's irrelevant. I don't care.
Okay,
but I would like to be cremated because I don't like the idea of having a tombstone. I feel like your loved ones would feel like they'd always need to visit it.
Sure.
And if you get buried in a place where they're not at, they might feel guilty. I don't like, I'm not sentimental. Just scatter my ashes. I don't care.
You don't care.
It's not a big deal.
Sure.
I don't feel like I don't care. Yeah. There's not much there.
Well, you know this question's coming. You knew I was gonna ask this one, but if someone's visiting Salt Lake for a day, what would you tell them to go do? Or the area? I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be Salt Lake City. I'll let you go outside the area.
Usually when people visit me, they're coming from Australia. They're old friends, and I always take them to up to the mountains. Like Snow Basin's really nice in the summertime. So I go up there and go around the lakes because the mountains for Australians are they're crazy, huge mountains here, and they're really
Are they just like mouths open just in awe.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What the
you don't have that. At least where I grew up in the suburbs, and there's hills, but there's no mountains.
Yeah.
So I would always take them to the mountains, and I always like what you say. When you say, like, you're not LDS, but you always say go down Temple Square. Like, I think that's super cool.
You got to check it out, man. That's the history.
I think
I'm
so, too.
fascinated by Utah history.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like you can go check out the temple. You could walk the
the
grounds.
architecture.
You can even get a tour of it. I mean, they'll give you a tour of the outside grounds. I don't think you can go inside.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd take them on. I would do my own little tour and give them a bunch of misinformation.
No, and that's fair enough, and that's the thing is, like, you don't want to waste all day there necessarily,
Yeah.
but go walk around downtown, go down to City Creek, walk around a little bit. It's cool downtown.
Oh,
man.
yeah, downtown's really cool.
But favorite local eating spots?
Oh, see, I know you're gonna ask. I knew you were gonna ask this one, and I'm not big on food. Like this probably makes you
Not even Wise Guys? You don't even eat the food at Wise Guys?
No, I do. I just get a slice of pizza, but it's just all fast food. I don't care too much for food.
No, fair enough.
Like, okay, this probably would make you sick. This would make a lot of listeners sick. So when we lived in Germany, we would drive to like Italy, and everything's really close. Like going to St. George is like going to Paris. It's just like 6 hours away, kind of thing.
Sure.
And we would just go to McDonald's.
No, man. If that's what you want, hey,
but we were just like a. We were just like a.
You'd go to Italy and eat McDonald's.
We did, and we camped when we went to Venice, and we'd just go camp. We didn't have any money, but food wasn't. Maybe that's, I don't know. It's just all fast food, and I don't like fast food. It's just easy, and it's just easy. My wife is gluten free, so when we do go out to eat, so we eat a lot of Costa Vitas, good gluten free, and then there's some Chinese restaurants and sushi places we go to, but nothing in particular.
Well, I don't know if you caught on with the episodes. I eliminated gluten last summer.
Yeah,
best thing I ever did. I know comics like to poke fun at it.
No, my wife and daughter, they have a gluten allergy, and every time we go out to eat, we gotta have the people change their gloves and stuff, and it's a little, I don't know. I feel like I'm putting everyone behind us in the line, like roll their eyes. I'm like, oh, like I kind of get a little.
It is. It's
weird.
Such a faddish diet.
Yeah. But I want to explain to them. I was like, hey, it's an allergy kind of thing. But even if it's if it's a choice, I still support it, because at first I thought my wife was just doing it. It's gluten. It doesn't matter. You could eat, like, it's just a little phase you're going through. But now I know that it makes her feel crappy, and it's. I don't know. Like, if people want to be gluten-free, I'm totally cool with it. I'm just too lazy to do it.
Dude, at the end of the day, it's such an easy diet. It really is. That's the funny part about it. And it didn't really need to necessarily get on that tangent.
Right.
But it's just interesting that your wife is... Well, I could recommend all kinds of great gluten-free restaurants. If you ever want good recommendations, I will... Zest, for one.
Okay.
Take her to Zest.
Message me it, because we will go there. She would love that.
Because they're 100% gluten-free. Some of the best food in Salt Lake City, in my opinion. Este Pizza, great gluten-free pizza. I'll message you, though.
Okay.
How can people find you?
Facebook, just Rich Wilson.
Do you care if random strangers add you as a friend, or maybe follow you on Facebook? I guess you can hit that little follow button.
Yeah, I don't have many friends. All my friends on there are pretty much just the local comedians. And
I'm not saying you're going to get a million friends, but in case somebody wants to reach out and connect with you with your videos or something.
I post I paint a little bit. I put some of my paintings, and I try to write jokes on Facebook. Facebook.
Are you on Twitter still? Are you still doing Twitter?
No, I'm not really doing Twitter anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of got into Facebook, and it's a little more long form to where you could write more characters, and I feel...
Do you do any other social media, Instagram?
No, I don't.
Not worth really talking. And then you have like a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure how to. If you just go to Comedians in Cars Eating Vegemite, you'll see all the episodes, and then you'll see Rich Wilson at the bottom. You click on that. I have a few other videos on there too, that aren't just those. I started a new series called Bombing, which is
which we didn't even get into. Let's talk about that for a second before we bounce out of this episode.
like you, there's lots of comics that you want to talk to that have different stories. And I felt like the Vegemite show was only having them talk about Vegemite and just things related to that. So I wanted them to come on and just talk about just their worst experience on stage. And it's just quick 2-3 minute episodes where they just talk about
I think
that.
I saw, was it Shane Smith?
Shane,
right?
Shane was the first one. He talks about his parents flying out from California and him just eating it on stage.
It was good. How many of those have you done?
I've only put out 2. I filmed 5 or 6, but I have so many things I've filmed that I kind of like jumping around from one show to another or one project to another just to keep
keep your brain fresh, man.
Yeah. I can't just stay on one thing. So if you're listening and I filmed something of you with you, it's coming out, but it might take a while.
Dude, I hear it, man. Even this podcast, man, it gets difficult, man, to just got to keep that cycle going.
Yeah.
Man. And
it's hard to keep the passion alive for some things. And
I'll put the links on at iamsaltlake.com as well for, your videos and stuff like that for people to listen to connect there. I've had a great time chatting with you.
Yeah,
Rich.
thanks, man.
No, anything else that I know we mentioned or we missed bombing. Any other projects that we didn't really get into?
I'm working on a new one. It has to do with my cat, but it's a video series about my cat. And I know is your cat Charlie?
Charles. Yeah.
So I've got an idea.
Do you want to come and film Charles?
No. Maybe he could have a cameo. I don't want to give anything away, but it has to do with my cat, and he goes on adventures. There'll be drug dealers and murder.
Of course, you got to have drug dealers if you're filming your cat.
Yeah, I got some ideas. It's just going to be silly, and it might not be awesome, but I like the idea of it so far.
Dude, I love it.
Okay, cool.
Well, thank you so much, Rich. You're a great guy, man.
Thanks,
honestly,
man. You are too.
And I am really stoked to have you part of I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm here.
All right, many thanks, Rich, for coming on this episode of the podcast. I had a great time chatting with him. Like I mentioned in the episode, it was kind of like pulling teeth to get him on the show. I really wanted to get him on here and have him share his story and talk about doing stand-up comedy, because I think there's so many of us out there listening right now that have that interest to get up, get behind the microphone, tell some jokes. But like I struggle with, it's like, okay, how do I do it? How do I get up there? How do I write the jokes? And so finding out Rich's story was a bit of a inspiration, bit of motivation. I know it was for me. So head on over to iamsaltlake.com/218 for episode 218. It's all the links to check out Rich's projects, to get in touch with him, to let him know that you heard him on the podcast. Hey, like I said, you can support the podcast. There's some different ways to help keep I Am Salt Lake alive, and I really could use your help. Go to iamsaltlake.com, hit the support the show button. There's a few different options. We have a shop there where you can buy a t-shirt, buy a mug, buy a hoodie, or you can make a one-time donation just by hitting the donate button and, give a few dollars. Helps keep the podcast alive, or better yet, become a monthly donor and help keep I Am Salt Lake going, help make the podcast better, and your support will not go unnoticed. I can guarantee that. So I'm here every week with a brand new episode. If you have any interest in coming on the podcast, send me an email, chris@iamsaltlake.com. Tell me your story. Let me know what you're doing. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, feel free to reach out that way as well. I love to hear from the listeners. Connect with me on social media. I'm on all of them: Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. I don't care how you connect. Just make sure to connect. So you all have a great week. Get out, support local, and love the city you live in.